Bringing Spider-Man Remastered to PC has got to be the smartest move Sony's made to expand its reach. Those who have never owned a PS4 or PS5 are in for a treat, as they can experience the iconic web-slinger's escapades firsthand, albeit a few years past its relevance. The original Marvel Spider-Man launched in 2018 exclusively on the PlayStation 4, forever changing the way we look at superhero games. The new remastered version swings onto PC globally on August 12th. Those in India can start playing at 8:30 PM IST. Insomniac Games has refined its formula to deliver a superior edition on PC, with high-resolution assets and a range of graphical options tailored to the average PC gamer. In this review, we will see how Spider-Man Remastered performs on PC and how it compares to the build on PS4 Slim and PlayStation 5. On the last-gen PlayStation 4, you get 720p resolution, capped at a consistent 30 frames per second, creating an unsatisfactory affair. Whereas, on the PlayStation 5, you get smooth 60 frames per second at full HD resolution, with the added benefit of the performance mode, which sacrifices visual quality for some extra frames. The newest PC version, however, brings the best of both worlds, as it not only looks gorgeous, but performs way smoother, offering a seamless experience as you beat up thugs in the streets of New York. For starters, this port is in a far better technical state than Horizon Zero Dawn or Days Gone, both of which had performance issues at launch. And this is coming from tests conducted on a budget build system consisting of a Ryzen 5 2400G, an Nvidia GTX 1660 Super, and 16 gigs of RAM. To give you a clear-cut answer, Spider-Man Remastered is decently optimized, allowing it to run smoothly on medium to high presets, even on an entry-level gaming PC. You are granted with a range of graphical settings for ample customization, with an on-screen presentation that allows you to visualize the changes live. But it comes with a drawback. Upon returning to the game, the settings take a few seconds to fully apply, causing heavy stutter or on rare occasions a crash. And while I do appreciate the menu telling me what jargon implies what, it still lacks a VRAM usage indicator at the bottom right corner. So when you adjust these options, there's no telling at what point you're hitting the threshold and causing lag spikes. The fairly diverse graphics settings lets you mess around with textures and lighting quality, creating spectacular visuals that outmatch the PlayStation 5 version. Character models have clearly received special treatment here, as they seem least affected by changes in graphics quality. Even on the lowest settings, skin and clothing texture look decent, with sacrifices made in the reflection department. Likewise, any pieces of text, logos, reused assets, and buildings are marred by blurry renders, depending on how low you go. Speaking of reflections, you get dedicated settings for those too, throwing a spitting image of the tall skyscrapers onto glass windows as you swing around, or the shadowy effect on marble tiles as you pounce onto and beat up confused enemies at the Kingpin's tower one after the other. It is worth noting that when stuck onto windows, Spidey's reflection can only be seen at specific narrowed angles, even on the highest presets. This can be amplified by toggling on ray traced reflections as seen on the PlayStation 5, though we couldn't test it firsthand due to the lack of an RTX card. That said, even on our budget build, medium presets managed to throw striking images, upping the ante with facial pose and individual defined hair strands. This is adding on to the bloom and vignette effects that give it an angelic look akin to Terrence Malick or Sean Baker's filmography. On high settings, you witness magic as all the minor adjustments pay off for the big reveal. Traversing the sprawling city of New York feels exhilarating as you free fall down to honking cars and cheerful applause from bystanders. In quick response, you then whip out your web and propel upwards, only to be blinded by divine golden sun rays off the coast, mimicking the final scene from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. We couldn't ask for a finer experience. Enough with the ogling now, let's get serious as we head into the performance aspect. As you might expect with most AAA games in the market right now, the frame rates here are quite erratic. Nothing to worry though, as it still runs like a breeze for the most part. We primarily tested the game on medium and high presets as it struck the right balance in terms of visual fidelity and performance. And here's a quick tip. The file size for Spider-Man Remastered is quite hefty, weighing in at 65.25 gigs, which normally would urge the average PC gamer to install it on a hard drive. But you should really put the new Spider-Man game on an SSD. SSDs are commonly associated with faster load times, but here the impact is seen instantly in-game with smoother frames, quicker asset loading, and transitions between cutscenes. We also left motion blur on here as it never feels jarring or sickening and emphasizes Spidey's acrobatic moveset. On our build, medium presets gave the most consistent frames, managing to shell out 80 FPS maximum with slick 64 FPS on average. However, when mingling with crowds or swinging outdoors, the frame rate plummeted down to the 50s. This was a common occurrence in even the lowest presets, where we picked micro stutters that aren't obvious to the naked eye. Particle explosions and outdoor combat sequences also cause the frames to dip a little, which is understandable given the sheer volume of artifacts it needs to process in a short interval. Meanwhile, any interior segments manage to chuck out up to 70 consistent frames per second even on high presets, thanks to less clutter on the screen. This created a jarring effect when venturing into the wild, as for a brief moment you feel like the game is trying its best to chug along, especially on a hard drive as it takes a while to load up environments. As elements like lens flare and depth of field become prominent, freeform traversal appears janky, dipping to 30 FPS at one point. It does climb back soon instantly, but the sudden dip is scary at first, especially if you have motion blur turned off. Standard gameplay on high presets averaged 52 FPS, with highs of 70 in interior sections. During a lengthy wave-type combat segment involving guns, rocket launchers, and shock batons, the lowest recorded frame rate was 40 FPS. There is no discernible slowdown, but some camera smoothing here could have helped. When comparing high and very high presets, the difference is super negligible, featuring some light glows and higher quality weather particles that are only visible in cutscenes. So unless you're aiming for a grand ray trace experience, you can very well play this on high presets and be greeted with dazzling visuals. In fact, the official spec sheet from Sony demands a minimum of 8GB VRAM to get stable frames on ray trace settings with the added benefits of DLSS. But as mentioned earlier, the settings menu doesn't offer a threshold indication, thereby forcing players to go look up the requirements online. Other additions include a full keyboard and mouse support with customizable key mapping to suit your convenience. Then there is the haptic feedback support on the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller, which takes away the cumbersome need to download and configure the DS4 Windows software. Spider-Man Remastered on PC also comes with varied display support, offering options between 21:9 ultrawide and 32:9 panoramic for an immersive experience, alongside several accessibility features geared towards those hard of vision or hearing. In conclusion, Spider-Man Remastered on PC is quite forgiving on both performance and visual ends, allowing players to run the game on whole-gen hardware dating back to the GTX 950 days. The fact that it manages to run like a charm on a tight budget build system is a plus. The performance issues I encountered, although uneven, didn't shatter the immersion for me. Bear in mind, this review isn't even based on the final build, which is expected to be delivered as a day one update. We believe Spider-Man Remastered on PC warrants a second playthrough, especially for PS4 owners who still haven't been able to get hold of a PlayStation 5. New players on PC are in for a treat, as they can expect a compelling narrative bound by smooth, free-flowing gameplay. That said, I do believe that a 3,999 rupees price tag is a bit too much for a basic remaster. Sure, one could argue the remastered tag carries a bit more weight, though that doesn't explain why God of War launched with identical features at a 3,299 price tag. But hey, at least Marvel's Spider-Man is now finally on PC. Thanks for watching. For more gaming news and reviews, follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Gadgets360.